Welcome to Lenworth the Lone Star's Country Radio Review. Now, this incredible, breathtaking movie, Antebellum, isn't a queer film in the sense that there are queer storylines in the movie. It's queer because two of the actors starring in the film are queer black women, Janelle Monáe and Kiersey Nicole Clemens, who play two of the most heroic characters in the film. I have such a funny personal story about this movie. I tried showing this movie to a guy I was talking to, and he gave me so much pushback because he said he hated slave films. But I told him he was missing out because there's more to it than meets the eye. And though he kicked and groaned through most of the first half of the film, when the major twist hit, he suddenly realized the movie was as great as I was telling him. Huge spoiler alert, but Antebellum is only a quote-unquote typical slave film for the first 20 minutes. The movie starts out on a brutal plantation with terrifying racist speeches from Confederate soldiers at a Confederate campground, where the white men are being served fancy dinners by enslaved black women. But when one of the soldiers runs away from camp and uses a cell phone, the viewers realize we aren't actually watching a film based in the antebellum South in the 1800s. This movie is a clear rebuke of the very disgusting American tradition of recreating the Civil War in American southern towns, and how white men take the quote-unquote theater of their so-called southern heritage one step further and actually capture black people to make them their real slaves in our modern era. In the film, Janelle Monáe plays a captured woman who's being tortured because she refuses to submit, being renamed Eden by her white captor. But later in the film, we realize that the woman captured being called Eden is actually a famous public speaker named Veronica Henley who works in social justice. Veronica has a husband, a daughter, and a beautiful home, a bunch of successful women in her friend group, and she gets to travel for work and is adored for her expert insight. Yet, before she was captured, she was being hunted by jealous white terrorists who were targeting her for her anti-racist work. I felt like this was such a great way to shed light on how the people who still reenact the Civil War are covertly or even overtly stating that they wish they could go back, and this film shows us where that leads. There was nothing worth celebrating about the American genocides except that African Americans, and really all enslaved black people, were strong enough to survive it. Janelle Monáe doesn't get nearly enough credit for being the superstar that she is, in my opinion. Her music, every album and EP she's ever released, is epic. And then she got into Oscar-winning movies, playing in Moonlight and Hidden Figures. And I really loved her in the hilarious and gorgeously shot murder mystery The Glass Onion. And on top of all that, much of her music and roles she's played in have highlighted messages of Black and LGBTQ power and excellence. Kiersey Nicole Clemens plays Julia, who is a new entry to the plantation, and from the beginning she tries to buck authority, making her a target for the white slavers. Though Veronica appreciates Julia's fire, even she knows they would never win a brute force fight because they were outnumbered with no weapons, and they'd have to be strategic if they wanted to make it off to the modern-day plantation. Veronica does her best to keep Julia out of trouble because she would rather her stay alive than give the Confederates a reason to harm her. You may recognize Clemens from her many TV and movie roles like Dope, The Flash, CSI, Rent Live, and Swarm. According to Wikipedia, she has a girlfriend who is also in the acting business, an Australian stunt double named Ebony De La Haye, who has done stunt work in films and horror and action movies and TV shows like Fallout, Roadhouse, Grotesquerie, CSI Los Angeles, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, just to name a few. This movie will have you on the edge of your seat, and despite the macabre subject matter, it is beautifully shot. And the action scenes are thrilling, especially in the end of the film. When the captives finally make it out for their big escape, there are some gunfights and horse chases that make Janelle Monáe such a badass hero. Have y'all seen Antebellum yet? Sound off in the comments.